All right, good evening, everyone. At this time, I'll call to order the regularly scheduled committee meeting for the Village of Midlothian, Wednesday, June 19th, 2024, at 7 p.m. Roll call, please. Deputy Clerk Harris.
Trustee Burbett?
Here.
Trustee Caveney?
Here.
Trustee Crowley?
Here.
Trustee Hilly? Trustee Johnson? Trustee Killily?
Here.
Mayor LaRue?
Here.
You have a quorum.
Thank you, ma'am. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. At this time, I will open the floor to public comment. Is there any public comment tonight?
Yes.
Step forward to the microphone.
No, I'm not thank you.
Sandy already probably knows what this is all about.
Uh-oh.
I have no idea.
I live over there in Laverne. We've had meetings about this before. They're racing up and down the street again. A silver car almost hit one of the women walking their child in a child buggy. Trying to keep on going with the speed bumps. You know, I keep on hearing money issues. If I have to buy them, I will, and so we'll have to block. If you guys need everybody in the block to sign a petition for this to happen, something's got to change here. I mean, every day they're racing up. They don't count. It helped. I went to the guy at the golf course. Things helped for about a week, and now it's right back to what it is all over again. I had the cops over there the other day, the officers over there the other day about this. He says he wants to do something.
We actually met with him today, our traffic officer.
Yes.
He's the traffic service officer.
Yeah,
Yes, we
he
met
was
with him
over
today.
there. I've met with him several times. He says he's over there. They're watching what's going to happen. If I have to get a movie camera and stick it out there and show you what has actually happened out there, that's what I'll do.
So I don't think anybody doubts what's happening on all the streets. The problem is, well, it's not even a problem. What we did is we applied for a grant, and we just received word last week, we announced it last week, that we got the
Yeah, what?
grant. A grant to do a traffic safety study, because one of the problems with just putting a speed.
We don't need a safety study.
We do, because what we
No.
can't do, is we can't put a speed bumps on one street and have all those cars now going to the streets on the other sides and making them even more dangerous.
No,
So
we-
we need to do a study to determine what's gonna be the most effective way to slow down cars on all the streets, so all of our children are safe.
Well, you
That's
got them
kind
through
of
the golf course, you got them on the other
That's-
side, which we've had that bitch before.
Well,
Plus, we still got the problem,
that was-
that road is still private.
Right, I mean, your road is, part of your
Private.
road is private, yes. But putting just speed bumps somewhere and not having them, we have this problem across the whole village.
Well,
Just
lit up
making
stop
things-
signs are $224. I've done some
There-
research.
and
We
that's-
need those LED stop lines.
And that's
such.
why we're doing a study, so that we can make sure that we do what the engineers that are paid to do this, they come up with a plan and say, this is gonna be the most effective way to slow down cars on all our streets, because our officers, you can look at the numbers, are writing tickets, and that's not working. It's
Oh,
not
when he was
slowing
at
them
my
down.
house, he chased somebody down, going
Exactly.
down. the
I've
thing
sat out
going
in
down
front of your
to
house
Turk
and seen it.
And gave him 2
So,
tickets.
you're absolutely right, so
Yeah,
that's not
but, I
working.
mean, our problem is gonna be, there's gonna be a kid hit.
I think
or
that's
mother hit.
everybody's problem. That's my concern, is that it's everybody's problem. And we need to do something so that people slow down on all of our streets at the same time, not push it out to other streets.
Well, how long
And
is
that's-
this study gonna take?
Well, we just got the approval last week,
So
Mayor
what,
and I.
now we're talking months again?
Well, we have.
I will bet you $100 by the end of the summer, somebody's gonna be hit. Because they already knocked down McKernan's fence, they've already hit one dog, the lady almost got hit the other day. That place is all revamped with little kids now. They're
I
riding those
don't
little
disagree with
scooters
you.
all over the place, which I hear you can't do anything about, because they're not motorized. There are some motorized ones.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I'm serious, I'll go out, I'll buy a camera and I'll stick it on the corner.
I
You'll get every
don't-
license plate, every car, what, you can't do anything?
No, because unfortunately, Illinois law says that we can only write tickets on vehicles for cameras. when
Well,
you
I'm
have
trying
over
to
a
say,
million
I'll
people.
prove to you how many cars are doing it. It's just not 1 or 2 a day.
David, I've sat there myself. You
It's
know
a
I've sat
racetrack.
there. I sat there, the chief and I have sat at many spots and watched what happens and given tickets, and he's got directed patrols reassigned. I mean, we're doing leaps and bounds to try to figure out what we can, but we have to do things also that make sense for the whole village.
Timeline.
We started this project last year. We have a
So we're
grant
talking
now.
another year.
We have a grant now. Once we get the engineering, then it's about finding funding to do all of the improvements. It's not just about speed bumps though, and that's,
Well, my
that's the
taxes
thing.
just went up $5,000.
Mine went up a lot too.
You know, so I mean, all of us over there in that area, I think are playing petty much to have our kids protected.
I don't.
You've got
disagree.
that new
Are
lawyer
you-
that
wait,
lives in
hold
the
on.
White
Are you
House
saying-
where Mark
hold
was
on.
at.
Are you saying you don't think I'm trying to protect our children?
I didn't know, I'm not saying that. Somebody's
wanna
gonna
be
get
clear.
hit.
I agree,
Then I don't see a squad car sitting there in the
I-
corner though either.
because you know how many officers we have, and yes, you have seen squad cars sitting
For
there.
our taxes going up 5,000 per house over there, how much do you need for an officer?
The village portion did not go up $5,000. The village
My
portion,
taxes, I was warned with $5,016, my taxes were.
your total tax bill, yes.
Total tax bill.
The village portion of that is only 16%. So your village portion did not go up $5,000.
Still, the taxes went up that high?
I
You're
agree.
absolutely right.
Yeah, my
Everyone's did.
taxes over there now are $16,000.
There's more than one house, and they all went up.
Yeah.
You're absolutely correct.
So where do we get the protection?
So again, we
Or again,
can't.
we gotta wait for a kid to
You've
get
seen, and you know there's been officers sitting there, because I've sat there when there's been officers.
I
sitting there.
tell you, when I came and saw saw the chief first or talked to him on the phone, then I went in to go see, the president of the club. I mean, he sent letters out to both the golfers,
Yeah, and the members.
but I mean, they're coming off the course, they're smashed. He lives on the other side of the golf course, they're doing the same damn thing to him. You know, something's gotta happen. You got enough tickets there to fund another officer. $100 a ticket? Something's gotta happen, Sandy.
I don't disagree with you.
And not a year from now.
I'm not disagreeing, but I'm telling you that we can't just put speed bumps as not the answer. You're
I
gonna
have
be
a friend that's
unhappy.
got 40 speed bumps. I could get them for nothing.
That's not the point.
That is the point.
It's not, because then
I
you
don't
create
need a
different
study.
problems. But then you create different problems, David, and it's not gonna solve the problems you have.
I'll get the street marked, it'll be all done the way it is. Temporary bumpers, at least people know that
David,
we're
you
not
can't
gonna
do
be
that on
sitting,
public street, and you know.
we're not gonna be sitting down at this.
You know you can't do that on public streets, because you can't slow down there's so many other things that apply to it. And it's not that we're opposed to it.
I don't want to hear insurance
Nobody's-
because how come the other side's got it?
Okay, whoever put those in years ago, it was done as a study and it didn't work.
Well, then it should be, then it should be grandfathered in.
But it didn't work.
How's it not
because
working?
those people
Nobody's
still-
flying down that street.
Well, but nobody's flying down that street because it's now partly it's unincorporated and they have potholes that people lose cars in. That's why people aren't flying down that street.
Parts.
Right.
Okay.
You're still not flying down the street. We gotta do something and not wait
I
till the end of
don't,
your stuff.
I don't disagree.
You're,
The homeowners over there, okay, I'll get a petition up, everybody in the block signs it. I'll come back in here next week and we'll have the same talk.
Okay,
Because the bumpers will go in.
but,
We already did that.
Yeah.
Didn't work.
David, I understand you're frustrated. I'm not dismissing that, I'm not
When
saying
I
you
saw
shouldn't be
that woman
frustrated.
hit with a buggy, or almost hit with a buggy,
Right,
and she didn't even think about stopping.
Sir, like I told you on the phone, we spoke a couple weeks ago, it's the biggest complaint I get throughout this town. We have officers going over there dedicating time, but I get that same complaint throughout this town. We'll have officers over there, just this month, we've already written 325.
Good,
speeding-
Darryl, there's
speeding
$3,000,
license plate tickets. Well,
or $30,000, excuse me.
it's, one is not about the revenue, two, what Markham Courthouse does with these things is another issue, but we write them. Over 30 of them were aggravated speeding arrests, where we're actually taking them into custody, towing their cars. So, like what she's saying, for whatever reason, tickets aren't slowing these people down. It's the biggest complaint we get throughout this village. I have people,
Well, then we got the speed bumps.
well, that's what we need to do a study for, because sometimes infrastructure doesn't work either. That's one of the things that we need to figure out. In the meantime, we'll go talk to the country club guy, we'll have this letter sent
He's-
out, hopefully a couple of arrests there, if they really are DUI coming out of there.
He's been great.
What are the specific times that you're seeing this? I know you told me.
When the caddies are racing to get to the golf course,
Which is about what time?
which is about, well, unfortunately, it's right about your shift change, between 6 and I would say 7:30.
Okay.
You know, we're racing down the street and stuff like that, and then return at night. That fence at McKernan was hit at 6:30 at night. Wasn't in the middle of the night, it was 6:30. So they're coming on the golf course smashed and flying down the street. And I could almost point out which cars they are, because they consistently do it.
I'll make sure that the directed patrol still should be there, but if not, put another one on there. There's a 2-week period. We'll have somebody sitting there between now. Now, if calls happen, obviously they have to pull off from there.
Well, I think if the caddies, you know, they start seeing, they're to start consistently getting tickets,
That's what we hope.
they're gonna be mouthed that it's gonna stop.
That's what we
And then when these other people come off, then you got the DUI on top of the speeding and running the traffic stops.
Okay, Mr. Smith, you made your point. We've heard you. Chief will look into it. We're gonna do the study.
Right.
We're working on it. Thank you. Anyone else have public comment tonight?
Let's add it on. Laramie, same thing on the other end, just like he said, it goes on all the time. I walk it each morning, people don't care, they don't care if you're in the middle of the street or up on the dirt bank 10 feet away from the road, they're flying. They could give a care less. And it's sad. It's a major issue, and I know where Dave's coming from, yeah,
And
we
his
want
wife
speed
is
bumps.
one of the ones
Not
that
just
they
a
get
foot high,
involved.
I want them 5 foot high, but when they get it, they feel it, and they tear up their car, well, that's the way it goes. And same thing with the semi-trucks. We have a front entrance for the country club, but they can't use that on 147th Street, they gotta come around to the turnpike, which is fine.
That's
But
my
there's
fault.
no 20-mile-an-hour speed limit sign on that end of the
Hey,
street.
John, that's my fault.
That's not your
I have
fault.
no signs put up.
No, well, I want to see the village, or the country club put up an entrance. This is the Midlothian Country Club. And Crestwood can go along with it. Let them all suck it up. Be
I'm not
honest,
denying-
that's
I'm
the way
not
I
just
feel
saying
about it. That's the way I feel about
something's
it. Tear
gotta
that
happen.
one down over by you, because that's serving no purpose.
If I keep
It's
going
not.
up that street, I'm making turn on 145th.
That make your taxes go down.
All right, anyone else?
That's fine.
Okay. This time I'll close the floor to public comment, move on to trustee business. Trustee Burbatt.
I have nothing tonight, Mayor.
Thank you, sir. Trustee Caveney.
Thank you, Mayor. I have one item. I'm looking for a motion to approve the manual checks refunding building bonds to Jose and Alma Valadares and Lunas Landscaping. These were two street bonds that both of these individuals paid to the village as part of some construction work that was being done. The work has been completed. It was verified with Superintendent Sperry that the sidewalk or street, whatever this refund was for, was put back together. So building department prepared the attached refund request.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please. Deputy Clerk Harris.
Trustee Keaveney.
Aye.
Trustee Crowley.
Aye.
Trustee Burbatt.
Aye.
Trustee Killily.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you. That's all I have.
Thank you, ma'am. Trustee Killy.
Thank you, Mayor. On the next week's agenda, we're going to, Finance Department's going to send a memo that we are asking for an increase in the water rate of 30 cents per 1,000 gallons and 10 cents in the sewer rate per 1,000 gallons. The water rate increased, we had an increase from Midmark, and so that's the reason for.
Who got an increase from Chicago? So.
Pardon me?
Who got an increase from Chicago? So
Yes, they got an
passed
increase from
along.
Chicago, and they're very being prudent with their funds, but they can't absorb that. And so we are going to ask that that be approved to be effective on the July bills. Also, speaking of the trustee Caveney's business, we have an ordinance that we would give refunds, automatic refunds if the department head approves for things like animal traps and so on and so forth. So we're going to propose to amend that ordinance to include things like this for the return of bonds, that if the department head, and I believe the trustee approved or sign off on it, that you don't have to wait for the board to approve it. It's going to be automatic. People shouldn't have to wait 2 weeks to get return those bonds.
Right, because it's their own money, it's not
Right,
village funds.
right. It was their money to put up.
Mhm.
And so, I
Can
don't.
we, could we
Yes, I'm sorry.
also, could we also add to that ordinance the refund for zoning application deposits? Right now for zoning, all applicants pay a $400 non-refundable application fee. Then they're required to provide a $1,000 deposit for any expenses. And at the
So
end
for
of.
variance?
for variance and for special use. And so at
Oh.
the end of the process, whether their variance or special use is approved or not, at the end of the process, once the meeting is held, then the building department does all the final accounting. Once the board members are paid their $50 stipend per application, once, if the village is required to send out notices on variances, the village is not required to send out a notice. But on a special use, the village has to send out a notice to property owners within 250 feet of the subject property, same as the applicant does.
Right.
So the village expense for that would be deducted from the $1,000. If we had to buy a new sign to post, that would be deducted from there. So once the application process is over and the hearing is concluded and the stipend payments are made to the board, then the building department staff can do the final accounting. And then a refund, if there's any funds to be refunded, they would go ahead and do the refund.
Okay,
So
I'll talk to you about
I would
that.
ask if we could include that as well, because again, those are funds, that's a deposit fund from the applicant, it's not village funds.
Okay. So we'll get that changed. I don't know if it'll be, I'm not sure if it'll be on for next week or.
Oh, that's fine.
But we want to get that changed. Then last I have is, I talked 2 weeks ago about the Metro agreement. Didn't hear any feedback from anybody, so Superintendent Sperry looked at the agreement and he is okay with it. It's basically same responsibilities as they have now. But, again, we have some options here. I did just a little survey, couple days of the parking lots, and the west lot had about 20 cars. One day, the Hamlin Avenue lot was full, and the Lawndale lot had 3 cars. And then, this is bad to pick a Friday, but Friday, the Lawndale lot had nobody in it. The west lot had 15, and the Hamlin lot had nobody in it. And there were a few empty spaces in the train station lot, which never happens. So, and of course, the permit lot is usually about half full. So, do we want to consider making, asking Metro what, if we could buy a lot or two, or part of a lot? Or do we just want to let it go and sign the agreement?
What about the other lot on Waverly? The one that's just.
Well, that, I didn't go there, but I presume that's not
Empty.
busy either.
Yeah, I mean, well, we've got a parking issue everywhere, but if the village had a lot on Waverly, that could certainly help with the marketing and sale of the old executive carpet building. Because the problem that building has is that it's a standalone building with no parking. The parking lot that was associated with it went to tax sale and it now belongs to Custom 77. And that lot is not wide enough. It's only got 10 feet on either side of the wall, north and south wall. It's not wide enough for a vehicle to even drive around. So, and it's causing an issue with the marketability of that building. If we had a village-owned parking lot, that might help.
Why would they get the parking though?
I'm not saying that the building would get the parking. I'm just saying the parking lot would be available for this building owner, if a business goes in there, for that business owner's customers to use, the same as the bars.
If we don't have any interest in that lot, it would make more sense for whoever owns that building to approach Metro and try to buy the lot than for us to
And
buy it for a
that-
business.
They can, yeah, they can make a deal with Metro themselves.
Sure.
Right.
But I think the 147th and Waverly lot is the big lot, because I think the building across the street has been on the market for quite some time, and I think that's one reason it doesn't sell, because it has very limited parking. And if you go a little bit west, there's 3 stores next to Bartolini's, which have very, very limited parking. And again, it's the same thing. I think parking on that side is really limited, and I think it hurts businesses. I think it hurts building owners, and I think it would enhance that area of the business district. I think we'd have more businesses and give us more tax revenue, hopefully, definitely in property taxes and maybe in sales taxes. So that's my point, and I don't know if there's any interest in exploring if we can buy some of the west lot either, so I don't know. Where do we want to go with this? We want to think about it some more, what do we want to do?
I spoke with Deputy Clerk Harris about this. I think we could close off this southwest lot and move those cars to the other lots. Us buying a lot and making it free parking does us no justice, because we're really losing money then, because we still have to maintain it with no revenue.
Right.
So I'm with Trustee Burbat, tell the business owner to approach Metro to try to acquire it. We do not need all these lots, that's for sure.
Right.
That's very clear. We do not need all these lots.
Right.
So move people around. There was probably 6 vacancies at the bar lot. We could push 6 of the people from the southwest lot over there. The other ones could go down to Hamlin or Lawndale.
Yeah.
It's for the village to buy it makes no sense, because that's even worse. Because we're still upkeeping it, but not getting revenue, so.
Well, you're getting the sales tax and property revenue, because that's your major problem.
That small lot is that's not gonna be a big enough difference. If we were talking about a bigger lot
No,
that
the-
really benefited all the businesses, then it might make sense. But that lot's too small to benefit all
permit
those
lot?
businesses.
Which lot are you referring
No,
to?
I'm 147.
The permit lot.
No, the 140, I'm talking about the 147th and Waverly lot, where the permit parking is.
Right.
Right across from the
That
bars.
lot's- How many spaces is it?
The bar lot.
No, well, across from
You're talking the
Christ
one,
Brothers Garage.
Yeah,
Right.
the bar lot,
Okay.
yeah.
I mean, basically, that building will never sell because there's not enough parking. It will never sell, and
But if the owner of the building bought that lot,
From
that building
Metro.
would sell.
Right.
well, he could, but he wants to get rid of the building. And you won't get any buyers because there's no parking. And then.
If that's the only thing
and then you
keeping him
won't
from
get any
selling,
decent-
then he should buy the lot.
And then you won't get any decent businesses in there because there's no parking. If you don't have parking in a business district, you don't have to bother trying to develop your business district.
We
The first thing you
can't do
gotta
it
worry
for
about
one
is parking.
business, though.
If you don't have parking, you're not gonna, I don't care what else you do to it, you're not gonna be able to develop your business district. There's plenty of towns around that have city-owned lots for that exact
Okay.
reason.
But we'd have to charge for the people to park there then, to pay
Why?
for the upkeep, the
What?
plowing, the salting.
Salting and.
Labor.
Yeah, I understand that, and that's
All the
offset
maintenance
by.
we already
Maintenance.
do.
That's offset
Landscaping.
by increased property taxes and sales taxes. That's what you hope. That's why you want to develop your business district. You know, otherwise, why develop your business district if we're worried about doing that? The major cost we have as far as Metro is the train station, landscaping, salting.
When you were
this and
talking
that.
about lots,
Yeah,
the lot that's across the street,
Yes.
that goes all the way down to Public Works,
yes.
what was the fill rate there? How many
50.
cars were parked there?
It used to be totally full, now it's probably 20 to
You said
25 cars
So
maybe.
if the village was talking about buying that lot has enough parking spaces that could serve all the businesses downtown, not just the one building that's close by it.
Well, I know.
Then it might make sense if we were gonna bill
Right.
for parking,
Right.
and we could cover the upkeep. That would make sense as a village purchase. But a lot that's really only gonna service 1 or 2 businesses, that's not a good investment.
but
not
that
for
lot wouldn't
us.
service 1 or 2 businesses. That lot would service the bars. It would service the occupants of the Christ building. It would service, the Bartolini's
Not enough
and the
parking.
three,
And
and
the
the 3
three
bus-
stores,
and the
right.
3
Los
storefronts
Serapes
there,
and,
Los
right.
Serapes and the other
Barrios
2
and, yeah.
businesses.
Yeah.
It could
That
service.
side is the side that needs the parking. The other side has parking, basically. I mean, it's pretty much, it's pretty well, and it's gonna have more parking too, because there's gonna be a building that's coming down.
Well, clearly, we gotta sign the agreement. We just have to decide what we're gonna do with all the parking lots we have. So
Okay,
we shouldn't hold up on that agreement, but we gotta,
you want to just sign the agreement, and then if you want to decide later about anything to do with the parking lot, we can ask Metro if they want to sell it. and-
will they even sell it? We gotta start there.
Be locked in.
We gotta start with Metro to see if we can even sell it, or
Okay,
they would sell it.
so what is the process here? Do you want, what do you think we should do?
Well, you're right, if we get locked into an agreement, we can't do anything with it.
Well, the agreement could be amended based upon the fact that there'd be changing ownership. I would just encourage the board to determine a couple of things that it has to determine before it pursues that, and that is whether it's going to be free, A, two, user-based, which would mean that the clients and the customers would pay on an app, or the third option would be to create a contractual agreement with the businesses that use it, who would pay additional fees or taxes to the
Right.
village.
That might
I
be
think you
hard to
have.
police, though.
What do you mean it'd be hard to police?
Which businesses are being served by it? Because you'd have to know what cars, what business every car that parks in the lot is going to.
Well, I think there'd be a geographical area in which you would ask for contribution, a special taxing district type of thing. But either way, if it doesn't work, that's fine, but I think you have to make that decision first. Certainly, in the municipalities that I have represented, when there is a crunch for parking and the municipality has to adopt a parking lot, a public lot, they almost always charge for it.
Yeah.
There really is no such thing as a municipality building to code a parking lot, a public parking lot, having to monitor it, police it, be liable for it, and then not get reimbursed for it.
Right, so the question is, do you want to do it, and how, should we try to cover the expenses? But I think we should do this before we sign the agreement, so it's clean, is that,
Yeah, we can hold off on it.
okay? I mean, it's a 40-year agreement,
Right.
and, okay,
It expired a year ago, we're fine.
yeah, that's true.
I have a
It's
question.
23.
Is the lot at 147th and Lawndale, is that lot large enough to develop a little commercial building on it?
Be good for a home,
Not really.
residential.
Okay, and what about the one on Hamlin? The one on Hamlin is like a half a block in.
That was a house, I think.
It was? Okay.
But I mean, and the other side of the coin is next year, according to what I've read, 1 in 4 businesses that have offices, they're in offices downtown especially, are going to ask their employees to come to work and not do remote. So, you can't hit it on the head. You have to leave a little leeway here for parking also. But if you look at the village website, I just looked today and they had the Village Green parking photograph. That parking lot was full, totally full. There wasn't a space. That was 3 or 4 years ago. Now you wouldn't have to worry about that. But I'll ask for the direction of the mayor, and that's it.
Okay.
And that's all I have.
Thank you, sir.
Just a couple things tonight, sir.
Trustee Crowley?
Oh, I'm sorry. I was ready reading. Just a couple things tonight. First on the agenda, we received a request for a TIF application for the new Big B Coffee that's going in on 147th Street. I sent that to the board earlier this week, and they're looking to put in about $400,000 to bring the property up to occupancy, and we are recommending a 10% TIF contribution, not to exceed $40,000, to assist them with that, to open up their shop. I sent all the information via email. I wanted to open this up for discussion, and I did send this to our TIF attorney to take a look at it to see what type of ordinance we would need to draft, as long as the board is in agreement with that. So I just wanted to open it up for discussion.
That's great. If it makes the deal go, that's terrific. If they're investing that much money into the
Yeah.
property, we can help.
I would have a question. I know that the first TIF application we approved was for Froggies, and that was for 10%. That particular project was upgrading an existing self-service car wash, and it's still a self-service car wash. They had asked for TIF funding to help them with the purchase and installation of an oil and gas separator, which is a plumbing device that is required by the EPA for environmental purposes. Separates the gas and oil out of the water that rinses out through all those wash bays. And it was pretty expensive. It was like $75,000 for the unit they needed, because they've got 5 or 6 bays at that location. For other projects, such as Big B Coffee, the upcoming project here at the old Honda building, Would the board consider giving TIF funding in excess of 10% based on the amount of money that the property owner is going to invest in the building? So for example, with Big B Coffee, we know that they're going to put about $400,000 into this. The original use, the use of that building had always been a restaurant. It was Brown's Chicken, then it was a fish place, blah, blah, blah. But the prior, since we've been on the board, there were 3, after Brown's Chicken, there were 2 more restaurant owners. None of those owners did any type of upgrades to that building whatsoever. This new owner is going to be upgrading it tremendously, not only tearing out the inside and putting in a whole new, remodeling the whole inside, but they're also going to be adding ADA restrooms. So I'm just throwing it out there for,
So I guess I
for
would say to
thought.
that, we're taking this based on the recommendation of our economic development consultant that we hired. He's the one who recommended 10%. I think he sent the email to you and I and the mayor. And that's based on his experience and his knowledge with TIFs and what eligible costs are. So we've tended to, lean on the experts to say what can we do based on what the law allows us to do, and that was his recommendation. And Big B Coffee seemed, from his email, seemed to be that would work for them as well. So I think that, it just depends on what they're doing, what's eligible. Of the 400,000, how much is eligible, how much, that's kind of how we've done it. I don't know that 10% is like the set in stone, certainly not for me, it just depends on how big the job is.
I think the best practice for evaluating TIF financing is, the first question is, how much money do we have in the TIF? The second question is, has the developer provided an impact statement as to what revenue is going to be brought in by the development? And third, does the village have any other developments for which that money may be earmarked for a grand project? And I'm not saying these things get in the way, but for you as a board to evaluate what to do regarding TIF, you have to answer those 3 questions first. You should have a report before you as to how much money is in the TIF, what is the impact that this developer is telling you, and you can decide how much proof you want, but he should have a number in his development plan letting you know how much money he's going to bring in. And then, of course, the Economic Development Committee and
And
village
did-
staff can make a
we've done
determination
that.
as to whether there's any other projects out there for which we may need TIF funding for.
We just updated our TIF funding accounts, so that was the first thing that we did. And then we have a TIF application that covers what they're supposed to bring in, what they're supposed to do, how there's, what qualifies for it and things like that, which gives all that, and I believe all that was in the paperwork I sent
I
to
think
you.
you're right, the TIF money should be based more on what kind of revenue the village is gonna realize. It's not a percentage, it's like, okay, so this was a vacant property, now it's gonna be an occupied property, property taxes are gonna be more. You're gonna get sales taxes, yes. And then the developer should have a number to give you to say, we think you're gonna get this.
And I
Yes,
think
sir.
the reason that we did what we did for Froggies is because it was an unknown expense that was an EPA requirement that would have made it be just another vacant building, so we decided to help out with that, so we didn't have another vacant building without any sales tax or property tax revenue.
I concur with you, Trustee Crowley. We pay an expert in the field who recommends a 10% TIF reimbursement, so unless he says otherwise, I don't see any reason to change
And we
it.
also have, we also created a TIF process that, we're in the process of pushing onto our, updating our village website with, and it has what TIFs can cover and what the village is looking for, and we're really looking for what's gonna generate revenue. I mean, we need to help businesses come in here that are gonna generate revenue to keep people's taxes down, or to reduce people's taxes on the village's portion, because, let's face it, small stores are not as prevalent as they were 20 years ago. And so we need to entice businesses that are gonna come here, that are gonna be sustainable, that are gonna generate sales tax, that are gonna generate property tax, so we can keep residential taxes down. So that was just up for discussion. if, you know, we can have further talks. We don't have the ordinance yet from Kathleen Orr. So, you know, we can have more discussions about it if we want, but I definitely think assisting him, you know, to start with this is a good idea.
I agree.
Next on my agenda is for the police department. About 4 weeks ago, I made the board aware that one of our vehicles was damaged in the storm that happened. A tree fell and totaled the car. Thankfully, none of our officers were injured. We did receive the reimbursement check from the insurance company. It was about almost $12,000 short of total replacement. It was not a budgeted item, so the police department will be taking that money out of seized funds, so it will not come out of the village's general fund. And I have all that information on board docs and sent it out. So I'd like to know if anybody has a problem putting that on the agenda for consent next week.
No issue.
Next on my agenda, the fire department has, last year, Steve had budgeted for a new vehicle for the fire department. Unfortunately, with the backlog, the vehicle did not come in. He carried that over as a budgeted item to this budget year, and the vehicle finally came in. So we're looking for, is this approval? Yeah.
Yes.
This one's approval. I'm making a motion to approve the purchase of the budgeted vehicle. This will be out of our ambulance reimbursement fund, which does not come out of the general fund, and it is budgeted.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Would you like to say the amount and where it's from, where we're buying it from?
Yes, I'm just looking for that now.
It's Curry Motors Fleet,
On
and,
the agenda?
Yes.
Yeah, there it is.
and the amount is $59,122.
Sorry.
Any other discussion? Roll call, please. Deputy Clerk Harris.
Trustee Crowley.
Aye.
Trustee Caveney.
Aye.
Trustee Burbatt.
Aye.
Trustee Killily.
Aye.
Motion carries.
And then finally, Trustee Hilly and I talked today, and Steve Hotwagner sent me the permit request for the Midlothian Country Club for their fireworks display this year. They are looking to have their fireworks show on July 3rd, commencing at 9 p.m. We received it late, so it was not on the agenda, but I did send it to the board this afternoon, and it will be on the agenda for approval next week, unless anybody has any concerns with that. And that is all I have this evening, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Attorney Valdez?
Nothing today.
Thank you, sir. Just a couple of housekeeping issues. Next week is our volunteer committee appreciation meeting, so hopefully everyone got invited from every committee so they can show up. We'll recognize every member that is here, and hopefully we'll have some light refreshments. So hopefully I'll see you all there, and then also let you know that there will not be committee meeting on July 3rd, as it is a holiday for most people on the board, so we will be canceling that July 3rd committee meeting. So, that is all I have tonight. Deputy Clerk Harris, anything from the clerk's office?
Just a reminder, village stickers are due on your vehicle by June 30th by midnight. Last day to purchase them in the village hall at the regular rate would be Saturday, June 29th. And that's all I have.
Thank you, ma'am. Seeing there's no further business coming for the board, I'm looking for a motion to adjourn.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
All in favor? All opposed? Meeting adjourned. Thank you all.